Hello, beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at. This is Elena Harder here for you on Tuesday. We're going to be talking about how to create time for yourself as a mom, why it's so important, some self-love hacks, and some hacks for life when there's too many things to go, too many things to do, and figuring that out. And how to keep a truly positive attitude even when things are going crazy around you. Welcome. Super glad to have you guys here. Love seeing you guys here live and on the replay. And I always super appreciate you guys sharing hearts, sharing the videos if you're inspired, and sharing comments, thoughts, ideas that interact with this. And of course, if you have questions, I'm happy to respond to your questions. And without further ado, let's just dive into it. It's like, so yeah, there's always stuff happening. Life is super busy. Today we are in Jasper. I'm like in a pit by the library because I wanted to be outside and I wanted Wi-Fi, and this was our happy medium for today. And this beautiful flower, it's just like loving it and enjoying the time and the space. So we're just gonna talk through the plant, because why not? So welcome, guys, and we're gonna talk today about how do we make time for ourselves when life is super busy. Well, the first trick is you just make time for yourself. So a lot of people are motivated by pain. A lot of people are motivated by moving away from pain. And one of the things that is really wonderful and really crucial to do in a journey towards living a life of more joy and more pleasure and more love is to start to move our motivation away from, I need to not have this bad thing happen. I need to not get in trouble with my boss. I need to not get in trouble at school. I need to not disappoint somebody or disobey somebody or whatever that might be. Away from those sort of motivating factors for behaviors and into more of a place of, oh, I'm doing this because I want to. I'm doing this because it's good for me. I'm doing this because it's important. I'm doing this because it feels good. And when the first shift is shifting our motivation over there. And if that's something you're still struggling with, please let me know and send me a message, because I'm happy to work with people. I'm building a new little audio track to help people actually move through this process so that we can transform our need to do to avoid into a need to do because it's moving us forward towards our life. So for a long time, I myself was very motivated by moving away from pain. I had 12 years of training, just like everybody else, going through school, and well, most people, not everybody. And it just resulted in like avoiding doing things until the last minute. So procrastination, it's like, oh, I have to do this, but I only need to avoid the pain right at the very end. And that resulted in not necessarily, as a young single mom working a business, that resulted in a lot of, oh my gosh, what do I do next? Sorry, I got distracted. There's like a little slug creature crawling around. He's so sweet. You want to see him? Sorry. It's like, can you see him? He's right there. He's crawling slowly. So beautiful. Anyways, so yeah, there's this place of not being motivated from something that's good. And so what that meant is that when I started doing evening meditation, these flowers, evening meditation, evening connection time, that it was very much from a place of, if I don't do this, everything is going to collapse. And the tricky thing about using that kind of motivation is that eventually your brain is like, oh, I didn't do the thing and everything didn't collapse, therefore I have no more motivation. Whereas when we're motivated by, when I do this thing, I have more capacity, I'm more able to show up, I'm more able to be present and alive and here and conscious and the way I want to be with the people that I want to be with, these flowers, then we're able to be in a place where we're more likely to do things that are really good for us, more likely to do things that feel really good for us, and be more present in our lives. And this is important because as parents specifically, or as people who just have like too much to do, there are so many things we need to do. And if we're running from an empty tank, if we're giving from a saucer or a cup that's half empty, that does not work. And I will always remember what Lisa Nichols told me, which is that you always need to give, not from the cup, but from the saucer, from the extra that spills over. And when we're not taking time to nourish and take care of self within that, it becomes very challenging to give on the level that we want to. And especially if we're talking about doing healing work, we're talking about doing energy work, we're talking about doing soul work, we're talking about showing up our best for our kids or for our business or any combination thereof. These things can be really challenging to do when we're not in a really positive space, when we're not at our best and with ourselves. And so that brings me to the next piece, which is like a positive attitude in adversity. And let's say everything's going crazy in your life, like, you know, everything just feels like it's kind of exploding. What do? How do we stay clear when we're in a place of adversity? How do we stay in a place that is going to allow us to keep moving forward, as opposed to getting stuck in all the nitty-gritty details of why it's not working? How do we stay connected to that positive attitude even when we've got a lot of adversity? And for me, the biggest way that I've found to do that is cultivating an attitude of gratitude. So gratitude journaling in the evening. I will admit I'm not doing as good with it right now as I have in the past. I used to do it every day religiously, 5 things, and that was really good. And what it did is it created a positive attitude. So it starts thunderstorming. I'm like, oh my God, the storm is so beautiful. It starts raining. It's like, oh, I must have needed to go inside. I'll probably meet somebody really interesting inside. It starts, you know, whatever these things are, there's always a positive. There's always a silver lining. It doesn't matter what the thing is. There's always, always, always a silver lining. The other day I was going to an appointment and I ended up in the wrong building by accident. I just bailed and ended up in the wrong building, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be late, blah, 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 blah. Got all freaked out. And then I realized that there was a lady who I knew in the building. And I was like, wow. And I got to have a little chat and I got to say hi to her. And it felt really nice because I hadn't seen her in quite some time. I was like, oh, there's my silver lining for being in the wrong building late for my other appointment. It's like, there's always something. And maybe it isn't actually so much of a silver lining, like I ran into a lady, but the difference is that when we've trained ourselves for an attitude of gratitude, that we are then able to see and be differently in those situations. So instead of, oh, I'm late and I went to the wrong building, leading to, I'm fucking stupid, I don't know what I'm doing, I always make mistakes, like whatever these things are, these stories that are in our heads, those are just mine. I have lots more, but I don't want to get into them. It's like, those are the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves when we don't default to the silver lining, is whatever these gross stories are. And truthfully, the human default is to default to something more painful, to default to something more challenging. And we talked about this with Natalia. If you guys are interested in learning more about that, Natalia Walker from a couple last week, the live that we did, she went really in depth into why we have this programming to be in a place of pain and be in a place of suffering more often. And the short version is that that's our imprint. Our birth is challenging, and then our lives are challenging. But there's things we can do to reverse this. There's things like breath work. There's things like conscious energy work. There's getting a great support person. All of these can wrap around and change our inclination to be in a challenging space and move it towards a more positive space. Now, when we're facing incredible adversity, so when we're facing incredible challenge, everything's going wrong, or it feels like everything's going wrong, or we've gotten stuck in some sort of negativity loop, one of the things that we can do is we can what I call it a future memory. We anchor into a future memory. So maybe the current moment is so challenging that you can't possibly think of something that might actually be good about it. It's like, my uncle just died and my mom is in hospital and my dog got sick and like, I don't know, any of these things. Like, just like none of those are things that are happening in my life right now. But as an example, it's like these could be really, really challenging things that are happening. You work with people who are just like jerkwads. Like, that's possible. Lots of people have situations like that. And in that case, it's like we need to hold space for a future timeline moment. So a moment, like in the same way that we have a memory from the past and we think about that memory from the past, in the same way as we have that, it's like we're thinking about a memory from the future. And when we create this future memory, it's not so much creating it as like feeling forward and being like, where is the timeline? Where is the space where I'm succeeding in this? Where is the moment where I have passed through this adversity with excellence and have moved on to the next phase beyond this, where this thing that I'm challenged with isn't even an issue anymore? And you can imagine yourself going through that entire process. And then whenever the brain goes to, oh my God, nothing's going to work, this is a disaster, I'm a mess, you be like, I hear you. And just so you know, we're heading there, and we're going to get there no matter what. And this is a sheer act of will, but what I've seen this do is help people get out of really, really challenging situations where the mind does start to go into a panic loop. It's a panic loop buster for sure. And it also has the benefit of retraining the brain for more positivity, because when our brain is in a fight or flight space, when it's in a freeze space, when it's in a space of like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen next, I'm really overly scared, and our body is literally physiologically triggered, when we're in that space, we're actually really, really susceptible to hypnosis. We're really susceptible to suggestion. We're really susceptible to other people's ideas, or ideas that we put into our own mind. So if you trip and fall and almost hurt yourself, but don't really hurt yourself that bad, this is a really simple example. Instead of saying, oh, I'm so clumsy, I always fall, because that's what's going to go deep into your subconscious mind, because that's the part of you that's active in that moment when you're in a place of fear. It's like, it goes right in. So instead of saying, oh, I'm clumsy, I always fall, we trip, we almost fall, and we say, oh, I'm always safe. Oh, I'm always safe. Oh, I'm always protected. Oh, that could have been so much worse, and I'm so glad it wasn't. Any of these things that anchor into the moment that we are safe, that we are continually there, that we are continually able to be present and be powerful in the moment, and we are claiming our power back, rather than allowing an incident or a story to create a future story about who we are and how we're not capable in the world. We can use those moments of challenge to reprogram ourselves for even stronger power in our lives. I see Roxanne saying hello. Hi, Roxanne. I want to say beautiful day to you. I was happy to see you hop on. And I also want to say hi to Kavita and Steve. Anybody else who's still hanging out here with me. I really appreciate you guys. We're talking about how do we create time for ourselves, do everything when we have too much to do, and take care of ourselves while building a business at the same time. I want to dive into the business building for a moment, because this is something that the future memory can be really useful and helpful for. People have an experience of, I caught you, Steve. I saw you when you hopped on. I'm always happy to see you here. So we have this, when we're building a business, it's important to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, are you kidding me? Good luck in life and in business, anything. Because if we're not building a business, if we're not building some sort of service that we're offering to people, or some sort of service that somebody else is offering to people, we're in the business of building our lives. Everything we do, even if we're working as an employee, we can still conceptualize that as a way of being in business with the employer that we're with, if that's the case. And so for me, I'm always looking for, I started my business when I was 8 months pregnant. I realized that financially my son's dad wasn't going to help, and I was just like, shit, I got to figure this out. My apologies for the swearing. I'm working on it. And it was like, it's just like, I just needed to figure it out. And so I went searching for what is the simplest, least time requirement, most flexible business that I could possibly do. And that looked like not getting a job at a restaurant or a retail or in corporate something, because none of those were going to offer me the kind of flexibility that at 8 months pregnant I wanted. What I needed was something that I could do from home, something that was going to be reliable, something that was going to be relatively easy and that paid relatively well. And so I actually sort of fell into doing web design, and I self-trained in everything. And what I needed to do consistently was minimize the amount of hours I was putting into my work by being as effective as possible with my time and my energy and my space. Because I wanted to be hanging out with my son. He was young. I needed to be with him. And it was not a possibility to be able to spend hours and hours and hours and hours. I remember being in a co-working space in Ubud, which is in Ubud, Bali. If anybody ever gets a chance to go there, it's a glorious, glorious, glorious town. Wonderful co-working space, and part of a catalyst for my journey, for sure, being in Bali. But there was a co-working space there, and I remember it was late one evening. I had Alex was with Komang, our babysitter, and there was a lady there, and she was also there late, and she was on her computer, and I took a break, and I went and I chatted with her for a bit, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? She was like, oh, I'm watching YouTube videos. And I was like, I'm sorry, you're at a co-working space, like, watching YouTube videos? Like, I spend every single moment that I'm in this building, like, working as much as possible. And if I don't, I feel bad about it, which is, like, it's a whole own thing that I've worked through a bunch more since then. But at the moment, it was like, I'm sorry. She's like, oh, yeah, as long as I figure as long as I spend 8 hours in the building, I'm doing well, and I'm doing my work the way that I need to be. And I was like, I'm sorry, what did you just say? Like, no, you spend 8 hours watching YouTube videos. You are not maximizing your time and energy towards your business. Straight up. Like, there are more valuable dollar per hour things, more valuable service per moment things that you could be doing than watching YouTube videos. And it kind of shook me up, and I was like, lah. And I realized that not everybody looks at things the same way, and not everybody does things the same way, and that different people's standards for what a good work day looks like is completely different. But when we have a general space of prioritizing work, when we have a general space of, like, prioritizing things that equal service in the world, we're going to build our business completely differently. We're going to focus on leverage. We're going to focus on maximizing our time. We're going to focus on good systems that help make those things better so that we can spend the time doing the things that are really valuable for ourselves. And this applies whether you're doing business or whether you're doing life. It's like what are the things that you really want to be doing, and prioritize them. This morning, it's like 11 o'clock. I'm in Jasper. We already went for a swim in a lake, a bike ride, and had a beautiful breakfast next to a lake. It's like, this is my work for the day, and that's beautiful. Like, this is what lights me up the most. This is what I'm most excited about. I love being here. I love interacting with you guys. And so it's like, those are the things that light me up. And that is one of the hacks for manifesting clients, is like, if you're doing a business that you're not excited about, good luck. Good luck manifesting clients. Because the thing that makes people say, yeah, I want to work with you, is the, like, I'm so excited about doing what I'm doing. Because there's 1,000 web designers out there. There's 1,000 life coaches. There's more than 1,000 of each of those all over the world, all looking for people and all looking for business. And if you're not standing out from the crowd, if you're not being different in a way, if you're not fully enthusiastic, empowered, and excited about what it is that you're doing, it's unlikely that people are going to feel that enthusiasm and be inspired to be with you, to work with you, to be friends with you, whatever that might be. And I see an abysmal amount of people who are really just, like, half living, compromising, saying, like, oh yeah, this is my life. It's, it is my life. It's a thing. It's not so bad. And it's like, you only get one. I mean, reincarnation, and it's a whole own thing, but, like, in this body as this person, you get one life in this body as this person, as far as I know. What are you doing that really inspires you? What are you doing that you love doing? What are you doing that's exciting and passionate and wonderful in your life? Like, put those things in the comments. Whatever it is that inspires you the most, like, I want to hear those things. I want to do a quick shout out to Melissa and Fatima and Dolphin for being here and watching. If you guys are just tuning in, we're having technical difficulties, and we're having a little, like, sweet moment with the plants, because this is where we're sitting this morning. They're cuddling me while we have our chat. So what are those 3 hacks? I said I was going to share 3 hacks around manifesting more clients. What are those things? Well, we've covered one of them, which is future memories. So imagining a place where you already have imagining and anchoring a place where you already have as many clients as you could possibly want, where you already have as many, you're offering your service in the way that you really want to offer it in the world. What is that future memory? And go ahead and write that in the comments. If you do have a business, please go ahead and do that and just share, what is your future memory? A space in the future. Hi, James. Hi. Hey guys, a space in the future where you have what it is that you're looking for, what you're hoping for and aiming for, knowing that by the time you get there, you're going to have different goals and dreams, but just knowing that holding that frequency, holding that space, holding that alignment, holding that irrevocable, I am going there. And nothing is going to stop me from getting there. Except that I might change my mind about where I'm going, but it doesn't matter. It's the focus, it's the direction, it's the clarity, it's this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going, and where I'm going feels really, really good to me. And when we have those comboed in a future memory, then we have the space that allows us to just it pulls us forward. I've talked about this elastic band many times. It's this is where we want to be, these are our shit things, the things that still need to get cleaned up. And it's we're going to pull our excitement meter higher, and then we got to clean up all this stuff, and then we go whoop, and then we're going to get even more excited, and we're going to whoop, we're going to get even more excited, whoop, and just move forward. I love the plans. So having a really solid future memory or a goal, some people call them goals, but for me, future memory is stand in it, be in first person in it. A lot of people visualize their goals in third person, and that doesn't work as well as visualizing them in first person, straight up. So the next one is our strategy versus our energy. So it's important to have strategy. It's important to know what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it. It's important to know a certain amount about marketing and a certain amount about what your options are. But really, when I work with people, often they're just my one coach told me to do this, and my other coach told me to do that, and I saw this thing online, and I saw this other thing online, and I just I don't know which one to do. It's oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. That's because all of them are possible paths to get you where you want to go. How do you choose which one you want to choose? Well, you choose the one that's most exciting to you. You choose the one that's most in alignment with how your energy naturally moves, and you choose the one that's most in alignment with how your future self is going to do it. So when we're creating these shifts, it's our future self is doing what? My future self is doing Facebook Lives. It took me 4 years to get on here and do these on a weekly basis. And now I'm doing them bi-weekly, and it's actually happening. And I'm just finally, I'm here being the person that I wanted to be. And it's but I knew all the way along that this was the next step. I knew all the way along that this was the next step. And there's thousands of marketing people every day on Facebook. There's some new marketing, happy snappy video being this is what you should do next. And I don't need to do those things. I just need to do, and you just need to do, whatever it is that our intuition says, this is the next step, this is the next thing, this is the next best thing. It's going to feel good. Now, if we're feeling fear, and it's important, I want to take a moment and just differentiate between intuition and fear. I know it sounds like they should be really different, but often people go, oh, but I intuitively felt I should cancel the event because I was feeling scared. You're feeling scared because you're being challenged, because you set something for yourself that's higher than where you are right now. You're let's say you're averaging life around here, and you're okay, my future memory self is whoop, up here. So I'm going to take some action, take some choice, and up here. Now, what happens when people cancel the events is they've got stuff going, they're averaging here, they got some crap down here that's just stuck and not in a good place, and hiding behind some stuff. And as soon as that we're gonna lift the bar up here, all of a sudden there's this big gap. There's this bigger gap, and now we need to do the work to bring those dark parts up. And a lot of the time that's just witnessing, being with, functioning with, asking for help, choosing a better strategy, aligning your energy, and being you know what, I recognize I'm being challenged, and I'm going to move myself up here, and I'm just going to show up, even if I'm scared, even if I'm challenged, even if I need to do something that's awkward. I'm sitting, I know you guys, if you guys were here at the beginning of the call, I'm sitting in a bunch of rocks in Jasper next to the library, because I wanted Wi-Fi from the library, but I did not want to sit inside because I wanted to be loud and exuberant, and it's not a thing you do in a library. So this is as close as we get, and maybe it's not perfect, but you know what? It takes me the next step forward. It means that I showed up for the live today instead of not showing up for the live today, which could have been an option. if I had listened to fear, which said, maybe you won't be able to find a place. What is Alex going to do? How are you going to manage that? What if the Wi-Fi is not good enough? Like all of these things, all of these fears. But it's just like, that's nice. Let's keep trying. Let's keep actioning. Let's keep holding that, like, I'm going to show up and it's going to be great vibe until we get there. And that's one of the keys, is like, until we get there, or until we decide we have a different goal. So I want to clarify that if we're here, we set a goal for there, we get halfway, and all of a sudden that goal doesn't look so good anymore. Traditionally, I would say in school, and again through like culture, it's like, it's not okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay. I give you permission right now. You have permission to change your mind partway through the process. You need to know where that partway through the process is. You need to not give up when you're at the bottom, if at the bottom is really a place where you need to grow. Because you know what? You're going to try exactly the same thing, and I've done this, trust me. You're going to try exactly the same thing on a different project, in a different place, in a different location, thinking it's a different situation. You're going to run into exactly the same issue again. So if you are really on an evolutionary path, if you are really wanting to create something different for yourself, you need to learn how to navigate that and be in a better place and let go of that that's on the bottom. And there are so many practitioners who do shadow work, who do energy release, who can help you with moving those things, because a lot of the time those things at the bottom are like, somebody made fun of me, I was bullied, I tried and it didn't work, I tried and I got mocked, I tried and I felt bad and I judged myself for not doing well, all of those things. And when we can just like let those go, when we whoop, oh hey look, all of a sudden we're up here rocking the way we want to rock. Great. So there's so many different ways of doing and creating and manifesting who it is that we want to be. And when we manifest who it is that we want to be, the things outside of us really, really just shift and change on their own. And a great example of this is when we learn to utilize hubs instead of our own action for manifesting clients. This is something that I did. I'm just like, here's like little rocks. I'm excitable. You're so pretty. You know, they're so simple, but they're so pretty. This is like a silver lining. This is how you know you've anchored gratitude in. You're like, look at that rock. It's so pretty. So hubs. Let's talk about hubs for a second. Hubs are people who are going to have dozens and dozens and dozens of your ideal clients. If you are a yoga teacher, this is a yoga studio. If you are somebody who sells books, this is a library. If you are somebody who does mountaineering gear, this is a mountaineering store. We're all familiar with this, but somehow when we move into a place of individual business, we lose the thought of that. Hi, guys. Hey, check it out. Van Damley's here. Hi, guys.
I think she's living.
I am living.
What?
I am living. We're going to take a minute.
Hortons.
What?
Got Tim Hortons.
You got Tim Hortons.
Got coffee and a vegetarian meal
Wow.
for me.
I'm talking about hubs, guys. I'd like to continue.
What's a
Oh
hub?
yeah, okay, let's, Alex, let's go.
What's a hub?
You can be in the background, but I do want to keep talking, okay?
Hub.
What's a hub? A hub is a place where you find... Tim Hortons is a hub for coffee and donuts.
And chicken.
Yeah, so if I had the brand newest donut and I wanted to sell it, and I wanted to sell a gazillion of them, I would go to Tim Hortons and be like, hey, Tim Hortons, you want to sell my donut? Maybe Tim Hortons not a great example for that, but it's a reasonable option.
Okay, let's go to the van, Alex.
Great.
See this?
Yeah. So, thanks for the pause and the interruptions, guys. So hubs are people who are going to have access to a lot of your clients. So for me, that was people who were life coaching, who are helping people transition from one phase of life to a independent business. And as a... Okay. Maybe like 5 more minutes? Okay, thank you. I'm getting told off from all directions. There's a guy in the building being like, you can't be here. It's like, thanks, I've been here for like an hour. It's time to wrap up. It says, so hubs are people who are going to connect you with as many people as possible. And when you shift from, this is like an ease thing, when you shift from trying to find individual clients to seeking and manifesting hubs, people who are going to send you an endless stream of clients because they're in the same industry that you are, more or less. Let's say you help people go from average bodied to like fit as heck and just like rocking in their bodies. You do not want somebody you do not want a client who's 300 pounds and looking to lose their first 200 pounds, their first 100 pounds, whatever it is. What you want is somebody who, what you want is the person who teaches those people to lose that first 100 pounds, because you want them when they've got the last 10 pounds to lose to help them really be fit. Can you see how that works? Can you see how if we find somebody who's just before us in the lineup of helping people in their client process, we're then able to just like whoop, and sort of like pick those people, not steal them, just like, oh, you're done serving them. You can't serve them anymore. Great. Now it's my turn. And that's one of the things that we're building into Neom, which is this idea, which is the New Earth Online, in case anybody hasn't heard me talk about that yet, which is this idea of moving clients through a journey that really, really serves them, moving them from practitioner to really help serve that entire journey and move into a completely different space. So all of this wraps around to a mindset of peace and love, because it's really challenging to be in the flow. It's really challenging to be in our best self. It's really challenging to be in all of those places if we are stressed, if we are worried, if we are panicked, if we are in fight or flight or any way. And so in order to be our best selves in business, our best selves in the world, we need to figure out how to anchor that mindset for peace and love in a really, really strong way so that you can live at choice for your life exactly the way that you want to live, so that you can live at choice and choose how you want to live, so that you can wake up and jump in a lake if you want, so that you can wake up and do what you want first thing in the morning, so that you can have the experience of what you want. And you might have 1,000 excuses, and I want to hear them and I want to help you bust through them, because all of those excuses are just stories that we are telling ourselves that are physiologically wired into our bodies to such a point that we continue to experience them over and over and over again. And as soon as we can create a pattern interrupt and we can create a different version of that story, then we have the capacity to really live our lives at choice in the way that we want them to. In the way that we want to live our lives. And if that's not something that you're experiencing, I'm totally happy to speak with you. It's a beautiful, beautiful world out there. There is so much to explore. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life. And I want to help create that in any way that I can. I'm going to hop up. I'm going to walk you guys around Jasper a little bit, just in case, none of you are in Jasper and you might have wanted to come on a trip here. We'll just go and say hi to the town a little bit, and we'll move out of the spot where the guy told me I wasn't allowed to sit. But I don't know why they have an amphitheater if I'm not allowed to sit here. Anyways, I still bump into that somehow. Check out these mountains. Check out these mountains. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So good. So good. So, I love you guys. Remember, be yourself. By being yourself, you do change the world, and you can do anything you want as long as you really, really want it. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for joining. If you've been impacted, please share in the comments something that really stuck with you. And we'll see you guys on Thursday with Cherry and Day again to talk about Make Love for Peace Day on Thursday. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. See you soon. Bye.